Hey, so I'm the Omni then, and I'm still deciding whether I'm going to do a full season review of this or not. Please let me know, like, comment, that kind of stuff. However, I want to give my thoughts on episode 5 and 6. Here's my thoughts on 5. It's the most okay episode of a show. It's fine. So, episode 6 on the other hand, that's a different beast. This might be one of my favorite episodes, and you might think it's a bit crazy. I've been hearing some negative reactions. However, I think it harkens back to the first 3 episodes' good writing, because in this we see a different perspective. The theme of perspective seems to be coming up more and more of this show, and in this we follow along Powerplex, protagonist of this episode, the episode's villain. As we see from his perspective, the tragedy that was Nolan's and Mark's fight that ended the lives of many people. He sees firsthand the destructive nature of superheroes and what was happening during that day. Bits and pieces, he did pass out a couple of times, but he did get to see Mark try to help a building. He also saw the ending of his family's life, and to this day, he is trying to get some sort of justice in order to bring peace, avenge the fallen. We see that in his efforts to try to do that, he is getting nowhere. No one is giving him the time of day. Even with 3,000 signatures, no one is even looking into this. Probably 1, superheroes are above the law, and 2, the secret organization that he even works for is protected. So, in his mind, he needs to take this into his own hands. So he steals some technology, puts it on himself, and becomes a villain, trying to draw Mark out. Mark's just having a chill day with his friends, and no one really takes him seriously the first encounter. He goes home, it was a failure, but by the encouragement of his wife and looking at his kid, he feels the need to bring justice to Mark. The second encounter, in order to draw Invincible out, he attacks, or at least appears, at the memorial for the fallen victims. Now, this perspective thing is very important. We as the audience knows Mark was a victim as much as a participant in this fight. He was trying his damnedest to stop his father, but he was not strong enough. He got beaten half to death in order to stop his father. But no one else knows that. No one else really knows that. No one was really there. No one saw those moments. So from Powerplex's perspective, he's just as bad. Or really, he was there. Because as the show goes on, that's what's more revealing. The more time we spend, the more time we realize as the audience, oh, it doesn't matter that it's Mark. It doesn't matter he was trying to help. He just needs someone to blame. Because every time he gets a power up, you see him break down emotionally. You see his mentality very shaky at best. He even begins to scare his own son with the kind of person he's becoming, all the while being encouraged by his wife as well, who is very much also grief-stricken and not mentally all there. We see when he escapes from custody that he treats the people who he probably have worked with in the past, being a part of the secret organization, like garbage, throwing them around, hurting them on purpose, even if they had not done anything to him. He is becoming a villain. He might not realize it, but he is. On the final go, him and his wife could escape and try to do something, but they have one final plan: to stage a kidnapping in order to draw out Mark, which works in the end, which leads to the greatest tragedy in the entire show. A completely avoidable one, but a tragedy nonetheless. The stupid lady and the poor innocent child ends up in the crossfire of her husband's unhinged attack on Invincible. At the end of the episode, Mark tries to reach out to him, but he swears vengeance and becomes essentially his new arch enemy in the future. Now, again, I've only read up to a certain point in the comics, so I don't know what happens further, and they might change whatever actually happens. I don't know much about the rest of the arcs that's going to happen. However, in this episode, it shows that someone's perspective on a situation can lead them down the road of disastrous. In this episode, it shows that Mark doesn't see himself as a victim. He does not see himself as someone who went through tragedy. He thinks he could have done better. He thinks he could have stopped it, even though he really couldn't have. This show addresses with Mark realizing, if Cecil didn't protect me and kept me sheltered from all this tragedy, maybe I could help and connect and all that kind of thing. Maybe I could have a different perspective. it sees a change in Mark, a necessary one for him to become a better hero. He's been questioning his morality, what makes him good, what makes him a superhero, as everything around him is telling him he has to be a murderer, has to take lives, no matter what he does. And with this, it shows Mark that there are others out there struggling with the same things. There are others who are victims, and he himself is not perfect and is enacting a change in him to allow for better hero tomorrow. Mark's future in the comics is already set, but in the show, we do not know as the audience. So it really gives a good arc to him, a middle point in his arc, to really start making him more agent in his decisions, what he wants to do. He's already made some big decisions with Cecil and Oliver, but this is the biggest decision, what kind of hero he wants to be. And with Powerplex, someone who isolated himself, someone who went through grief, someone who didn't seek out help but justice and let that justice warp his mind and perspective, his family paid the price. Now he's alone. And the only person he has to blame, to fight, to live for is Invincible. I'm the Omni Den. Like and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts. I'll see you next time.